And that's what this is. You guys want to touch this? You're welcome. So we don't know what this person died of, so it should be okay. We don't know. Totally fine if you wish to get it. Totally fine if don't worry about it. Don't enjoy it. Yeah, it is extra small, which is a great idea. So yes, that's we call it the covering of the brain. You see all the curves. You see like when you see a picture, you see all these things in very great detail. But our brain is all curved like this. So we have a skull face that's kind of the top, and in between we have a groove. That's a focus actually. That's right. The gyrus is the top. The focus is the whole. You see this we call the cortex. It's everything in front of this. It's that line right there. That's usually the motor cortex. So if you were to stimulate this, that would move your arms, your legs, whatever. But in front of this, when you can't stimulate, when it doesn't do anything, that's all prefrontal right here. And when you have on the other side, that's what's called the orbital frontal cortex. That's the bottom of the brain. So in this gauge, the rod will be kind of went like this. So that's the orbital frontal cortex. So changes in personality, withholding response, sort of thing, that's very important when you use that. When people talk about long-term planning, that kind of stuff, I was saying that's more the outside of it. So kind of planning, behavior, long-term, that's more the outside. Withholding inappropriate responses, that's more the bottom. And it's called orbital because you see the groove right here, and you see like a kind of a hole, like the depression. That's where your eye would be. So it kind of makes sense, right? Orbital, obviously. You have the orbit, the groove in the skull basically creating this. So any pain use here by any chance? The cerebellum is very important for all these kind of fine control movements sort of things back there. So other than that, we covered most of it, basically. So I guess if you guys want to touch it more than hear me talk about it. Okay. So this has been fixed, so it's harder than it would be normally. It's more like Jello usually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really heavy.
So like line from the cut?
I think it's been cut by accident, or for looking at something specific. So not this brain, but the other brain here at the ADRC Institute, the Alzheimer's Research, where they'll cut it and go take a tissue sample.
Oh.
So that's not one of those. That's the normal brain. That's a normal size brain, and then one of our brains would probably be this big. But that stuff is pretty tough. So basically, cutting our brains are pretty tough. So if you had, when I do recordings, like we actually have to cut that to get in the brain. The brain actually doesn't have sensory receptors, so you don't have. So once you're through the skull, basically there's no pain receptors. So that's why you can do these in people when you actually stimulate things, you don't feel anything. But the outside, you kind of have to check it. You also heard like about football players having all these concussions and all these issues. If you look at their brains, as far as I can tell, you can't quite see anything super obvious. But that's usually like, not if you played a little bit of football in high school, that's usually a career like of doing this. But they're starting to find differences, basically, in the way like some areas are organized. But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
How do you protect from infection once you open the skull?
Be careful. So like, there's nothing. Doing these surgical procedures, like the wound is protected. Yeah, you have to insert anything in. So you see people that that's more the idea. But now they try to be like a Michael J. Fox.
It's really hard.
Like Parkinson's, they actually damage some parts of the striatum to help them. And now instead of removing a big chunk of skull, they just drill a little bit of a hole and you go there. You have those ways to know.
Yeah.
So on the day they can remove a big chunk of brain like that.
That was
But again, it's not going to be this hard in our head. It's more like Jello for us. If you bump your head, it's kind of sloshing around a little bit. That's why boxers and football players have issues after a while. Basically, it's there's a lot of use of that.
Isn't like when you get a hangover too? Isn't like the headache kind of a result from like inflammation, like your brain like swells up afterwards?
I think it's the blood vessels around. So the idea is like people have migraines, people have headaches all the time, and it's more the blood vessels that would be either on top. You see some sometimes they're more like a they actually will move them. So they usually would be on top of this basically. It has something to do with blood flow, usually outside the brain, or it's actually in your muscles, I think. So it's more of that than inside the brain. You're not swelling, you're not doing anything like that. You wouldn't want to be doing that every time you have a headache or something, because that would be serious.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you, I could, I guess, try to bring your brain with Alzheimer's. They have some of those. You can see it just by looking at it. It's a lot smaller. So you can, and there's a way like these holes that you see between, like the cell kind of thing, these are bigger. So basically, it's less brain. You can visually see it.
So they just have like a brain vault somewhere?
Yeah, they're not called the vault, but it's kind of it's something that kind of sounds like it. Like, what is it? Brain bank.
It's a brain bank.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Alzheimer's. You see Parkinson's, you see a bunch of stuff like that. It's harder for me to take them out because I'm not part of that thing. But this is actually for our memory centers, I can actually. Yeah, so that's the brain stem, that kind of stuff, right here. That's the beginning of the spinal cord, so then we kind of keep going this way. So spinal cord goes from the back of your head, which is up to like about here. So you would actually see that kind of like this, and their nerves stick out. So it's pretty cool. I find it pretty cool. What else?
Where does your spine connect in relation to the spinal cord? Is it like surrounding it? Like, I mean,
The
does
spinal
it
cord
come like
it comes straight out if you for sure. So that is just kind of a cut through it. So the spinal cord is supposed to clear 2 feet. Yeah, people use very different terms all the time. Yeah,
What-
it's kind of.
What's like the gnarliest disease that you've seen like affect your brain? Like what disease makes a brain you look at it and you're just like, dang, like what happened here?
Alzheimer's is the biggest one to me, basically, because there's cell death, and basically like your brain shrinks.
Yeah.
You can see it. Like you can see it in the scanner too. I don't do that kind of work, but you can see it small.
Yeah, yeah. I know like in the book they have pictures of like Alzheimer's brains, and like one of the ventricles will be like way bigger on the side. And, like you can even see just from pictures like it looks visibly like a lot smaller.
Yeah. I have some, I think in 2-3 lectures I'm going to show you some crazy brains, not real physical brains, more like pictures. But people that are otherwise normal, their brains is incredibly, there's a huge hole in it, that kind of stuff. So it's amazing that you can do so much without a big chunk of your brain, but if it happens, the idea is if it happens slowly enough, your brain will go down.
Yeah.
So if you have like, you've heard of strokes and everything, a stroke is when you have one of these, you see the artery right there? So if you have an artery that's basically that gets clogged, they're usually the big ones are on the side there. If you have an artery that gets clogged, that area doesn't get blood anymore, and then it slowly dies, or not too slowly, or quickly dies.
Yeah.
And that's why people tell you, like, get aspirin right away, that kind of stuff, so that'll help dissolve the clot. So, a lot of things you can do, but.
What about, like, how do, like, stem cells work within the brain? Because, like, some of my other classes, we start talking about, like, you take, like, your skin cells and then transform them. Has that ever been done in, like memory situations?
Yeah, in people, there's some tests going on at UCI right now. So you can take your cells, create kind of stem cells, undifferentiated cells, so that could become anything. And then you can put it at different parts of your brain where you need it. You have Parkinson's, you need a lot of new cells in that area. You put the stem cells, and the idea is it would become striatal cells. A lot of times they just give you some chemical that you need. They don't become something else. But yeah, I'm not an expert in that. I don't want to say
good idea, though.
But they use some chemical.
Well, I'm gonna say that's the tough thing about stroke though, because a lot of people don't even realize that they had it.
Yeah.
So even though there's a clot at the moment, they won't realize it until even maybe the next day, and then they'll start feeling the effects.
Yeah, it depends on the size. Yeah, if they're big, no, they know what they're with. But if they're small, sometimes like it's kind of subtle, or they're like, oh, yeah, vision problems, like, whatever, I'll get used to it. And then basically that could be a stroke. Then. Yeah, because the longer you wait, the more problematic it is.
Thank you for bringing it up.
What about drug use? Look at the brain chemistry.
Oh, drug use. Ecstasy.
It's like
atrocious.
So the one that's based on right?
Yeah, basically, like, most drugs, I mean, I'm not going to say it's all of it. Both drugs,
I want to like kill somebody.
really bad.
Or you want to put your hand in there and all that.
Ecstasy and meth.
Yeah.
You need to
Do you want to
bring
hold
them
it?
right away. So, yeah, basically you don't want to go there at all. And the other one, it's like alcohol, it's not great. It does feel better, but it's not at that level. But there's people have done studies like 1 pill of ecstasy leads to brain damage.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, see, most kids don't know this. They're just like,
You should,
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it like oxidizes the cells in your brain, so it's basically kind of like starting like a chemical fire. Basically, it's just like it takes electrons from the atoms, and then in turn like they take electrons from like more atoms, and it just like keeps going and going and going. So it can lead to like pretty gnarly cell damage.
yeah, but it's pretty quick. That's the thing that people don't realize. It's
Yeah.
not years of use, but once you do that.
Yeah. Oh, I have tons of brain pictures. Sorry. Like.